attendees of the demo day. So to the consortium, of course, those that has visited us from other countries, and of course from the different attendees. So well, today is the final pilot, the last pilot of the Praetorian project. So we are going to demonstrate different technologies that has been developed during the project. And as Valencia Port, and on behalf of Valencia Port, I would like to say that we have cooperated with many different stakeholders, universities, technical centers, also different institutions, authorities. So we are very happy of this cooperation, and we hope the success of the demonstration day. So, but before to give the floor to the coordinator, Frederick, that is on my right, and the technical coordinator from ETRA, I would like to say a few words in Spanish. Buenos días, gracias por asistir hoy a la demostración. Este proyecto es un proyecto que ha sido financiado por el programa Horizonte 2020 y es un proyecto, como pueden ver en la diapositiva, que se enfoca prácticamente en la protección de infraestructuras críticas ante un ataque combinado ciberfísico. Esto quiere decir que vamos a demostrar diferentes tecnologías que van, por un lado, lo que llamamos, y que después se explicará más en profundidad, una CSA, que es situación concienciacional de ciberseguridad, una PSA, la parte física, y una parte híbrida, en la que vamos a ver cómo se ejecutan los diferentes sistemas de gestión de datos ante amenazas ciber y amenazas físicas. También podrán observar fuera detección, diferentes tecnologías, detección de drones, sensores para reconocimiento de conductas sospechosas o conductas con violencia, sensores para ruido, sensores de tracking, etcétera. Todo esto se va a ir definiendo en las presentaciones que vamos a tener a continuación, y podrán ir viendo paso a paso cómo vamos a desarrollar todas estas tecnologías, cómo vamos a validar y a testar las diferentes tecnologías en un escenario que hemos definido y que será después de la pausa café, tanto en la parte de detrás del edificio como en la zona exterior. And now I would like to remember also, because we have people on remote, so that this session is going to be a record. And of course, if you have any question, you can use the chat. Okay, so then I would like to give the floor to Frederick, that is the coordinator of Praetorian, and the floor is yours, Frederick.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafa. Yes, thank you very much, Rafa. So I'm so proud. I'm very happy to be here today in this nice place. So I will not give you some words in Spanish, because for me it's too far and it will not be correct, but my spirit is Spanish today. So I'm very happy to open also this important event, because it is the last demonstrator of the Praetorian project. And we already made 3. It was, I believe, a success. So I hope, and I'm sure that it will be today the same. We started this project 2 years ago now, and it is a really important involvement of all the partners. You know that we are 23 partners in this project. My company, the energetician main company in France, we are leading this project with ETRA. We made a really concrete and linked work in this with Eva mainly, and with my colleague Siam. We manage this project. It's important to have all the partners in connection with us. This project is led with the idea that it is end users needed. So we take care to make the development of the tools that you will see today in a way that it is useful for resilience, for the critical infrastructures we have in Europe. You know that resilience in Europe with the new directive is very, very, very important for big companies, for critical infrastructures in main domains. And we know that in the context of, which is not really easy in Europe with the conflict, with some issues we have about energy, all this is very, very, very important. And in this way, the tools we developed in this, considering the threats, physical, digital ones, combined attacks, and also cascading effects in this project, it is very important. And it's there's a big follow-up from the European Commission. We are linked to different DG, mainly DG Home, and it is really a topic of interest. So it's very interesting to work in this. One word about Rafa and Angel, who are hosting us today in this place for FVP, because they led the organization of this demonstrator, but not only. In the work package we have about demonstrator, they made a very good activity, very good job about this, with the help of ETRA too in this, as technical provider, technical leader. And the development of the tools we have for enhance the resilience and the security on this global activities is, I think it is very good. There will be development again after this, and our dissemination activities are ongoing. And also the exploitation of the tools that you will see in part today is very interesting. So thank you very much for attending here. I think it will be a very good day.
Okay.
So I give the word.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Frederic.
Merci, Frederic. Thank you very much. Thank you to Rafael for hosting the meeting, and to Frederic for his leadership during the project. Very quickly, I have the pleasure and the honor to speak on behalf of ETRA team. Okay, so I was thanking Rafael for hosting, and Fundación Valencia Port for hosting the meeting and supporting the organization, and then Frederic for all his work during these 28 months of the project. For us at ETRA has been a real pleasure and an honor since the beginning of the proposal preparation and promoting the idea, because we thought it was a very much needed work which needed to be done. And then along the project development, all the technical leadership and management which we have undertaken, primarily Eva Muñoz and Juanjo Hernandez, with whom we will during the day. And of course, it would not have been possible without a great team of partners. We are speaking of 23 partners from 7 countries, 4 different demonstrations, 28 months, and 55 deliverables. So this really has been a huge undertaking. It would have not been possible if not for the really great team and the leadership work which has been undertaken by all the core partners and all the core people, I would say, that have been pushing the project forward. I am sure it will be a great demonstration. It's not the final event of the project. There will be further meetings, but I think it is the most important of this final stage of the project, where hopefully we can share with you all the success and all the achievements which have been accomplished. Some final words in Spanish, if you let me. De nuevo, muchas gracias a todos los que habéis asistido, los que nos habéis acompañado hoy. Pensamos que este proyecto es un hito que va a ser muy importante y que es muy interesante y muy necesario en el contexto actual, tal y como comentaba Frederic. Nosotros desde ETRA, cuando hemos liderado, hemos ostentado la dirección técnica del proyecto, un poco el objetivo ha sido conseguir mejorar la conciencia situacional a la hora de proteger, prevenir amenazas y proteger infraestructuras críticas, como es el caso del puerto de Valencia. Además, el proyecto, una de las características que ha incorporado es llevar esta idea más allá, por una parte considerando las amenazas híbridas, tal y como se ha mencionado ya, pero también considerando la interacción entre diferentes infraestructuras críticas que estuvieran interrelacionadas. De manera que, en el caso del piloto de Valencia, por supuesto se centra en el puerto de Valencia, que es el elemento fundamental, pero también tiene en consideración interacciones con el aeropuerto o con el Hospital La Fe, de forma que en caso de un ataque a gran escala que implique elementos civiles y elementos físicos, pues se pueda responder y abordar la amenaza de una manera conjunta entre todas las partes que tienen algo a jugar o algo que jugarse en esa situación. And that was it. Thank you very much and have a very successful day. To all of us.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you very much. So before start with the first presentation, I would like to show you the agenda. You can see here in this slide. So we have an overview of the project. So we want to present the different platforms. So cyber situation awareness, physical, hybrid, as mentioned in the beginning. The coordinated response to alert the citizens and the vicinity. So the use of different technologies like the drone detection. And after the coffee break, we will have the scenario description and execution that, as I said, will be out of this room, will be behind this room and out of the building. Okay, so thank you, but I would like to point out to the different cooperation with Port Police, firefighter, hospital, airport, and the port. So, and of course, with Tetra and the different technological partners. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Gracias por todo y seguimos con la siguiente presentación. Gracias.
Morning, everyone. 1 moment. One moment. Let's say because we need that everything is also shared in the.
Yes, the other one. Previous one, share again this one. Stop sharing the. Stop sharing and share the screen. I can see it.
Okay, I think now it is. Everything okay with the Teams? Okay, and also the sound. Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eva Muñoz. I am in ETRA. I'm the project manager of PRAETORIAN. And today I'm going to explain you a few things about the project. This is, as already mentioned, a project that is funded by the European Commission. We have 23 partners under the coordination of EDF, 7 different countries. We have a consortium in which we have industry, academia, research centers, and most important, end users of critical infrastructures, but also as first responders. We started more than 2 years ago in June 2021, and we will be finishing by the end of September. So this is the last stage in the demonstrations, but we still have some work to finalize the project, focusing on the evaluation, focusing on the exploitation, and on the preparing the main reports of the project. The main goal of Praetorian focuses on 3 different ideas. On the first hand, we want to increase the resilience of critical infrastructures. This is very important because the previous directives were focusing on protection, just protection of critical infrastructures. Now we evolve towards resilience, and this is a different way to understand how to work with critical infrastructures. Second, it is about coordinated protection. We don't focus only in one single critical infrastructure, but we understand they are interrelated, and we need to provide a framework for all of them, not just focusing on independent protection of critical infrastructures. And finally, we focus on the combination of physical and cyber attacks. You will see different tools with following this approach, not only on understanding what is happening in the physical domain or on the cyber domain, but with a combination of both of them. So if we go directly to the objectives, we have technical objectives. First of them, we want to evaluate the hazards and minimize the level of risks. This is translated easily that we want to understand what's happening in the critical infrastructures. We want to understand what are the risks, what are the vulnerabilities, and how to address them. Second, understanding of physical and cyber threats. If we understand about vulnerabilities, we are able to provide a way to address them on the physical and on the cyber domain. Third objective is on the coordinated response. If we understand the situation, which is called a situational awareness, both on the physical and the cyber domain, we will be able to provide a coordinated response. And finally, this information has to be shared with the population near the critical infrastructure, with other critical infrastructure, with many different agencies, and the way we collect data and provide data to the rest of the stakeholders is very, very important and very relevant. So focusing on the impact, we want to validate in real context the tools we have developed. And for this, we have defined different scenarios. Today, we are going to demonstrate one of them. Of course, we need to follow to meet different regulations and at different levels, ethical, legal, and focusing on privacy and societal principles. And finally, we also have a focus on dissemination of our results. We have built a stakeholders group, which was at the beginning, we had a few members. Now it has grown, and we have a lot of members in this stakeholder group. This is very relevant because we build a community of users with the capability to provide feedback and to tell us what we are and to validate what we are doing. As you can see, focusing on these objectives today, the main focus is the validation, demonstration in a real environment, as it is the Port of Valencia, and the integration with other critical infrastructures here in Valencia too. Short description of our demo sites. Of course, here in Valencia, we have the involvement of different critical infrastructures, starting with the Port of Valencia, represented with Fundación Valencia Port. We have also the airport in Valencia with AENA and Hospital La Fe. And as first responders, we have firefighters of the Valencia consortium. But we have also a pilot case in France involving EDF, the energy provider in France, but also the Port of Bordeaux, and also with the firefighters of Lyon as first responders. And we had another pilot case, 2 different pilot cases indeed, in a cross-border scenario with Croatia and Austria. We had a first pilot demonstration involving the Zagreb Airport and the Medical University of Graz, in which there is a laboratory that was involved in the first pilot case, and the second one involving a hydropower plant and a hospital too. So this summarizes our 4 demonstrators with 9 critical infrastructure operators and 3 first responders. Now we'll explain what you are going to see today about our tools. We have developed 4 different products, which means 4 different systems focusing on different domains. You will hear about the cyber situation awareness, focusing on the domain of the cybersecurity, physical situation awareness, focusing on the physical domain, and the combination of both domains is feeding a hybrid situation awareness. And this is one of the main innovations, one interesting thing in the project, that we are able to understand cascading effects coming from the 2 worlds, the cyber and the physical domain. And finally, everything and the way we collect data is very useful for the coordination of the response, which is our 4th system. So here, today you will hear about the CSA, BSA, HSA, and CR. These are our 4 systems, and this is what we are going to demonstrate today. Going a bit more in detail with the cyber situation awareness, there are different modules to collect data of IT systems or industrial systems, to understand the information system topology and to detect what's happening in the cyber world. This about the physical situation awareness, we have many different sensors depending on the scenario. Today, we will see many of them getting data related with a possible attack. We have the capability also to integrate other systems, for example, detection of drones or the cameras to detect different abnormal situations. With these 2 systems, we feed the hybrid situation awareness, in which we are able to understand correlation of the different detections. This is based on digital twin modeling, so you will see how the information is provided to the critical infrastructure operators in the best way for them to understand. We always say that we collect data, but we transform data in information, and this information has to be useful and usable for the operators. With this, we feed the coordinated response. We have a decision support system, which is the main element receiving information about incidents. We have a module to provide information, to share this information with the first responders, and some other modules that you will see today, how to inform the population using social media, how to inform population using an emergency population warning system, and one kind of mitigation, for example, is the drone neutralization, has the possibility to be integrated too as part of the response coordinated. Of course, we have different dashboards to provide this information to the end user. And as said previously, who are the end users of our tools? What you will see today in the part of the demonstrators, you will see critical infrastructure operators and first responders using these tools. This is a quite short overview of the 4 dashboards you will see today. You have an example of visualization of the cyber situational awareness. We have many different ways to provide information about what's happening related with the cyber assets and the way they are related and how a possible attack is propagated or what it's affecting, how it's affecting different assets. Focusing on the physical side, you will be representations using 3D models of different sensors. You will see alarms when something is happening. This is about the hybrid situation awareness, about the HSA. You will see also how an attack can be affecting different assets, what we call cascading effects, and the relation between different assets, but also between different critical infrastructures, different representations, so using synoptic diagrams or 3D models on a physical model. And this is an example of decision support system in which you will find the list of the different incidents that are happening, so the operator can check at any moment what's going on. And this is the the tool, how the operator gets access to the cyber situation awareness, to the DSA, to the HSA, and to the different modules. And this is very important. We are not talking about 4 isolated systems. Everything is integrated. Even if you have different dashboards and different systems, data is flowing between all of them. We have an interoperability platform, and this is very relevant because we focus on integration, and we know that data is provided to everyone in the system at any moment, and everything can be checked, and operators have the opportunity to get access to the same information and the different points of view. And this is very relevant in Praetorian. We have focused on integration, and here you will see integrated tools. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. If there is any question, for sure you can ask at any moment. But now you will see different presentations focusing on the 4 different systems to provide more detail about the approach and how everything has been implemented. Thank you very much. The following presentation will be remotely. It should be about the CSA, and can you hear me now? No.
Yes. Can you hear me? No?
Yes, okay, now we can hear you, Stefan. Let me check, or are you sharing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, now I can see the screen, I think, for everyone.
Okay.
So,
Hello.
yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stefan Paul from Thales, and I will be presenting you the cyber situation awareness tools, so CSA. Here's the agenda for the presentation. I will mainly focus on the goal of this tool, CSA, and focus on the way it is innovative with respect to the state of the art. And I will then show you some insight on the human-machine interface that you will see in the afternoon. So first, the goal. Obviously, considering the name of the tool, cyber situational awareness, the main goal is to increase the situational awareness of the operator for cybersecurity operator. But as Eva has presented, there are a lot of tools in Praetorian, and the other goal of the CSI is to feed the hybrid situation awareness with cybersecurity information together with the physical situation awareness so that they can provide hybrid information. However, okay, that doesn't make it an innovative tool. There are a lot of cybersecurity tools around, and let me first focus on in what way it is innovative. As you might know, there are a lot of tools, as I said, like security information and event management tools called SIEM. There are endpoint detection response tools, EDR. There are a lot of protocols like syslog to carry the detections, intrusion detections to different places in the system. You might have people monitoring those security events. You might even have a security operations center dealing with all that. Our assumption is that all those state-of-the-art tools already exist and are deployed. And what we are bringing in the Praetorian system and project is the cherry on the cake. We bring some few tools or some in small innovations that will and should be managed by what we call the SOC engineer level 2. That means the engineer that is in charge of investigating and dealing with security incidents which are really out of standard procedures. So to make that a bit clearer, let me show you first how those usual tools work, state-of-the-art works. Let's begin with how the attacker attacks a system. When an attacker wants to attack a critical infrastructure, for example, he will take his time. There will be a lot of steps. The first step is usually the study of the target. He will take some time to discover all the people who are working around this critical infrastructure. He will use some tools to discover the topology of the infrastructure itself, the kind of networks, the kind of software that you're using. Okay, he might do some social engineering to get those data or scanners or whatever. This can take weeks or months of work to get a lot of as much information as possible. Once the attacker has enough information, he will do a first compromise of the system, try to access the system using some known vulnerabilities in the system. Usually this first step, when he's inside the system, he doesn't have a lot of rights. So the first thing he will try to do is try to increase his rights and gain administrator credentials on the system. This can be done by a keylogger or some kind of also social engineering. Once he has those credentials, he will want to install his own command and control system inside the system. He might even want to patch the vulnerabilities that he's used to enter the system because he doesn't want another attacker to come in and put him out. And then he will explore the rest of the system, trying to know where he will make the most impact, either to make a denial of service or to exfiltrate data if he wants to steal something. Each time that the attacker does those actions, of course, he leaves some what we call traces or observables. Each of those observables that by themselves are not a proof of an attack because there are hundreds or thousands of users in your systems, and every day they log in, they print documents, they connect to different systems, and of course they all leave traces. But some of the traces and some of combinations of those traces might be a bit fishy, and that is what the detection tools try to understand is in what way those sequence of operations are the trace of something that is malicious and malevolent actions behind. To show you that, let's imagine there is an ongoing attack. So in every system today, there should be some kind of sensors that observes the operations that are happening on the system, those observables, and the sensor captures this data and sends it. If the sensor thinks there is something fishy there, he creates a security event or a security alarm and sends it to the operator. This operator will decide to create or not an incident based on those events. Typically, if the operator knows that there is a maintenance operation on the firewalls and there are a lot of alerts related to that firewall being disconnected, reconnected, etc., he will ignore those events. But if there is he doesn't know of anything, he might want to create the incident there based on those events. So how does this sensor know what to collect and how to decide if this needs to be a security event? This information in the sensor is done with what we call indicators of compromises, which are created by threat analysts. And those threat analysts explain with simple rules in those sensors where to detect, what to detect, and what combinations of detections are pretty fishy. Those indicators of compromise, they are built based on the usual tactics, techniques, and procedures that are being used by the attackers and which have been more or less formalized in different documents and frameworks. Those indicators of compromise, they are also built on the knowledge of the threat actors, who they are, what they want to do. They are built on campaigns. You might know that, for example, in France, a lot of hospitals have been targeted, and of course, those guys have known techniques and tactics to deploy those campaigns on the hospitals, and of course, the knowledge of the targets. all this allows to build interesting indicators of compromise. However, there are some limitations to those tools that we have today. So let's imagine a sort of standard network as you might have today, here comprising both information technology and operational technology. So information technology for your corporate network, your office work, relation with end customers, possibly your web services, etc. That's the IT. And then on the OT part, it's all your industrial control systems, for example, to control the valves, or to control the lighting, or to control any physical systems that you have in your critical infrastructure. So let's again imagine an attack, and let's see what are the weak points of the current approach is. The first one is that people working on security operations centers, on those SOCs, they work in shifts, and of course there is little to no transmission between those operators when they leave work. And as I told you previously, the attackers might take extensive time to run their attacks. It can take, as I said, weeks, months. I saw some articles saying that some attacks lasted more than 7 months before the attacker got inside the system. So yeah, if the operator just sees one event, one fishy event there, well, he might say, okay, not a problem. And then 8 hours later, there's another event, and then 8 hours later there's another event, and each one will see just one event, and they will not correlate all those events together, and might miss some very low noise attack. The second issue that we have is with the current tools is that those tools are usually focusing either on IT systems or on OT or industrial control systems, but they do not usually cover both. So that is what we want to do is we imagine that the most typical scenario is that the attacker will attack via the web services, the mailing, like phishing, or the web server, and then from that office network they will make a lateral move towards the industrial control systems, and this is something that is poorly managed by current tools, and we want to focus on that. The third thing that most tools do today is that they just raise alerts on technical events, like this firewall has been unplugged, there is somebody trying to log in on the system 3 times and he failed 3 times his login, or things like that. What we are trying to do is to raise alerts which are related to your crown jewels. That means what is really important for your business, like the water production, like the access to your medical data, like the fact that you can control aircraft. Those are your real business assets, and not just the technical ones. And last point is that the systems running today give you alerts when the things happen, and that leaves you very little time to react and stop the attack. So what we want to do there is to be a bit forecast and to give the information before the things really happen. Let me shift now to the human-machine interface. So what you will be able to see on the tools. Of course, you will be able to see those lists of primary assets, the things that are really important for you. You will see them connected to what we call supporting assets. That means the infrastructure. For example, if it's air traffic control, you want to see the radar, the control rooms, the servers, multi-iteration systems, things like that, that support the control. You will see observations. Okay, for example, the radar is running a bit slow, or they missed some targets, something like that, some strange observations. You might want to rate that there might be alerts, okay, if there is something really going bad, and then there will be what we call target objective of the attacker. That means what the system thinks that the attacker is trying to do. For example, stop the radar. You might have signs showing that this is going to happen, and this will be warned the information will be given to the end user. The human-machine interface will also allow you to give some feedback on the system, for example, to validate observations, to validate the target objectives, and possibly to also validate the alerts and change the status, saying, okay, I have processed this, seen this alert, and it's okay. Okay, this gives you an overview of what you can see, but of course you will be able in the human-machine interface to configure the HMI as you want, and there are a lot of possible representations. Let me show you some of them. Here it's what we call the Hebbian representation. So it shows some of the observations that have been performed on the system. Those observations themselves are composed of two elements. First, the assets on which these observations have been performed, HTTPS server, a PC, where those observations have been made, and then the type of attack that is being performed on those assets. And those attacks are based on the MITRE framework, which defines those techniques and tactics that are being used by the attackers. This representation also shows you the alerts, and it is possible to get more information on those alerts with a pop-up menu. And it's also possible to see here the target objective. So what is the goal of the attacker, what the system thinks that the goal of the attacker is. And again, those objectives can be, you can have more information on the objectives, and it's also possible to validate or invalidate the information that is raised by the system. As I mentioned, there are a lot of possible queries that you can perform and a lot of representations. Here are a few representations here, tree map, force graph, but there are many more, and you will be able to see that this afternoon. This is also another representation, which is the timeline, which shows when the detections have been made and what kind of alerts are raised each time with the timing. So, as a summary, I showed you there are a number of deficiencies in state-of-the-art tools today. The fact that those systems rarely cover both IT and operation technology systems, and what we provide here in Praetorian is something that covers both the IT and OT systems. Next point is that those detections are seldom related to the crown jewels. They are very technical, and we have built a solution which is based on the risk assessment performed by the critical infrastructure. So we know really what is important for the critical infrastructure, and we will not raise alerts which are purely technical. I also mentioned that the alarms come pretty late, so therefore we built what we call the cyber forecaster engine, which is able of trying to predict the attacker's goal based on the initial steps of the attacker. So we try to forecast what he's trying to do and inform the operator about that. I also mentioned that the operators worked in shifts, and said there was little to no transmission between the operators. So in our systems, we will keep the information in memory for a very long time and try to correlate events, even if they have happened days or weeks before. And last, related to the HMI, there's a lot of information that is raised by the systems. In a very large critical infrastructure, IT and OT systems, you might have like 50,000 events per second. That's a huge amount of data, and we have to be able to filter the information and provide the adequate representations to be able to work on that information. That's all for me. So if you have any questions, I can answer it.
Thank you very much, Stefan. I think there are no questions. And continue.
There is one there.
Oh.
There is.
Just one moment, because maybe we have a micro. One moment. Yes.
Thank you for the great presentation. The question is on the slide 12 and 1 about the forecaster engine. So does it mean that you will, in real time, so you guess that you find the initial access and then they, based on that type market or modern framework, you will predict it. But it wasn't clear for me that how it's the real time, you will do it later, because if you're doing later, then it means that it's too late. But then how can you reach real time? So if you can elaborate on that.
I'm sorry, I did not hear anything.
Okay.
I'm going to, Stefan, I'm going to repeat. It was a very good question. So the question is, does the detection for prevention and prediction is real time, or if not, isn't it too late to give a good situation awareness?
Yes, today it's real time. So we haven't not made any scalability tests. Today the detection is real time, and the forecast is also real time. And we've measured our forecaster engine in times of milliseconds. But we obviously in the project have not been able to reproduce the scalability, the issues that we have in really big systems. From what we know from the state of the art in terms of forecasting, some forecasting papers show that the forecasting is done in sort of half an hour. Based on the detection. So yeah, if you can forecast an attack that will last weeks and you can forecast it in 30 minutes, then it's obviously also a very good point. But yeah, we have not made those assessment of scalability in the scope of the PRAETORIAN project.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Stefan.
Yes, so thank you very much, Stefan, for this presentation. I would like to add that in this topic of cyber situation awareness, we add digital twins technologies. We add simulator on EDF premise and R&D lab with simulation also of SCADA and industrial system. And all what was done with ETRA about the correlation, the integration of the different data and in the interoperable platform was great. It's the core of the system. And it is very interesting to have this in the different situations. This is to do the transition with the PSA. But before this, I would like to give a word for to say welcome and thanks to our project officer too, because I know that she's connected in remote, and honestly, Doris Newman is following the project and is with us since the beginning of the year. It is very interesting for us to have this follow-up. It's motivating to show how we do things and to give to the research executive agency the way we work and the importance of the development. And so for this, I would like to thank her. It's very important because it gives cohesion in the team also, and it gives a good relay for the PRAETORIAN projects. And in this way, I would like to say that at the European level, I was invited to show and to participate in some events, and due to this, PRAETORIAN is and the development with it is well known. We have good first results, and it is very interesting in this way too. So now I give the word again to Eva and Juanjo, which is technical leader in this project. It will be about the physical situation awareness.
Okay, hello, I think it's fine. So I'm Juanjo, I'm the technical manager of the project, but also I'm responsible of this work package called the Physical Situation Awareness System. I wanted to do a brief summary of what we have. From one side, we have the cyber situation awareness that is forecasting some alerts or events. On the other side, we have this physical situation awareness that is triggering alerts or incidents to the operator. Then both systems are feeding in real time the hybrid situation awareness that is able to correlate and to give results of this correlation to the operator. And finally, this is coordinated by this coordination response system. Each of the systems has a backend and also has a front end, an HMI. And something that is important is about the interoperability platform that is providing this mechanism to publish this data in real time and to inform each of the systems that are integrated in this interoperability platform, but also its critical infrastructure is receiving data from others. So this is an important aspect there. Then I will focus now in the physical situation awareness system. So three main technological entities we have. The first one is about assets or resources. Within these assets, we have these sensors. Mainly, this is Praetorian, or the PSA is mainly a HIS map, a geographical information system. It is basically a map that is showing information in real time. So we have these kind of sensors, these markers with this icon. We have agents. This is mainly the port police that is around the facility or the infrastructure. We have also the possibility to integrate drones. We can get information of the telemetry and the cameras that are integrated in these drones and to see the path that they are doing. And finally, we have these cameras, so we are able to click on them and to see the streaming in real time. If something goes wrong, the sensor, for example, can change his color depending on the severity of the incident. Same for the agents that can share information in real time to the operator that is in the physical situation awareness system. And also we have the possibility to see, because we have there some detections. So this marker will, with the exclamation mark, will appear if something is wrong, and the operator can see what is happening in the precise location. Finally, we have in this project, we have the detection, the drone detection capabilities. So we will see when a drone is flying over the vicinity of the area. So this will appear also in the HMI. We can not just integrate drones, but also any kind of robot. That means, for example, underwater drones. We are able to track them and to see the cameras of the underwater drones. The same for the robots. Another capability of this HMI is to see, we can, during this project, we did an intervention in a specific zone, and we were able to retrieve data information of photography and to do a point cloud, about this infrastructure that was there. So we are able to represent it. This we can see below a timeline Okay, so the operator can see what is happening over the time. So he can move play forward or backward the scroll just to see what is happening. And there we have some incidents that are open or closed depending on it. Okay, same with this information, with this we can finally create a 3D model and to integrate it in the platform. Okay, those are sensors about valves that are open or closed. And then we have a list of open and closed incidents in the road. Okay, this is a short video of what we have. Let me check. Okay, no, this is about comments. We can make comments in real time. Also, the operator is able to send comments, so this will appear in the timeline. Okay, this is the Hospital Lafayette that we have the 3D model with a weather station that is informing us about measures, a presence sensor that is informing us, for example, if there is a presence detected there. Okay, this is a short video that's showing the capabilities of the HMI. So everything is in green, so everything is correct. We have the possibility also to see in the chart the measurements of each of the sensors. We have also the possibility to see the cameras and the geolocation of the different agents. So if I open the timeline, as we are showing it, I can move around and to see exactly the geolocation of the different agents and also the status of the different sensors over time. So this is idea for the timeline to see historical data. Okay, this is another video regarding the airport Valencia. So we are able, for example, to track a drone that is flying. It's a friendly drone because it's in green. So we have also some cameras there. We have a weather station. We have other sensors, an agent that is geolocated. This is the cruise area from the Port of Valencia. So exactly the same. We have also another drawing capability, so we can create shapes as polygons, circles, lines, and so on. So this is also configurable. We can add to the list the type of the different shapes. So these functionalities are shown there because during the scenario, we will just show in real time what is happening outside. We have also the possibility to create arrows, for example, for the entering of the different operators. So this information will be shared with the different operators that are using the tool. For example, we have here also, we have a drone that is flying over the area. We can calculate distances, for example, there are a lot of functionalities that will be not shown during this presentation, but okay, I will continue. Okay, finally, we will have these kind of representations there. As I said, we can, for example, see the stream video of the drone that is over there. This video is a mock-up, but we have this capability to stream the real-time video. Also, in this project, we wanted to demonstrate that we can, for example, integrate different agencies. In this case, we have integrated information from a service that is from an aire that is showing us, for example, in this specific screenshot, we are seeing the different airfields in Spain, but not just the airfields, but the geofences. So the restricted areas where the drone cannot fly. This information is useful for an operator to see if the drone is able or not to fly in that specific zone. Okay, for the sensors, we not just have the typical ones, not just the presence sensor, fire, smoke sensors, and so on. So we have developed during the project an innovative sensor that is the audio sensor that is able to capture the sound of explosions, drones, streams, and we are evolving this audio sensor in order to incorporate, for example, keywords and so on. So the idea here is just to train a neural network and to provide information when a sound of this type is detected, we can show this information. I have a small video for that. I don't know if I'm sharing the sound, but it's just when it's green, everything is okay. Okay. When a drone is detected, so this will trigger an alert. This will be sent to the interoperability platform, and the physical situation awareness will receive that information. Okay, a drone is flying over this area. Same for the explosions. If an explosion is detected, we will receive this information in the HMI, in the human machine interface. The second main technological entity is about artificial intelligence. So we have some cameras, but also in the back end, we have some devices that are analyzing the flow of these cameras. So we are able to detect, for example, threats. We are able to detect abnormal behaviors as aggressive behavior, violence. We are able to classify actions. We are able to track objects, not just persons, but also we are able to track vehicles. If there is a normal vehicle, we can track it in the different cameras. This will be shown during the scenario. And finally, the third main technological entity that we have here, last but not least, is about the drone detection. When a drone is detected by the system, this will trigger an alert, so the operator will see that information in the physical situation awareness scenarios. So this will be explained in depth during the slot reserved for this drone explanation. So I will not go into much detail. And that's everything about the physical situation awareness. I don't know if there is any doubt or any question? Okay, it's fine. Okay.
So we can continue now with the hybrid situation awareness.
Okay. Okay, good morning. Thank you, all of you, for your presence here today, and also all those people that are in remote by means of Teams. My name is Israel Perez from Technical University of Valencia, senior researcher at the Technical University. And today, with the help of my colleague Sandra Koenig from the Austrian Institute of Technology, we're going to present all the work done, all the advances for the hybrid situational awareness tool inside the PRAETORIAN project. This system is one of the key elements, one of the relevant contributions of all of the project in terms of providing the capability of advancing, of knowing the consequences of a threat materializing in a given critical infrastructure and a threat materializing, for instance, in the cyber domain. How does it affect not only the cyber domain, but also how does it affect the physical domain, how things propagate, in terms of one kind of attack is going on in the physical domain, how it will evolve in time, what are the most likely outcomes of this kind of attack, not only in a given critical infrastructure, but also the propagation to other critical infrastructures. Today, we'll see in the demonstration how these things can propagate in terms of, for instance, at the port of Valencia, and then how it will propagate to the hospital, the LAFE hospital, or for instance, to the airport. So the idea is the one shown in the slide, that nowadays we cannot treat independently the physical domain to the cyber domain, and also we cannot treat independently different critical infrastructures. Everything is completely coupled, everything is completely connected. So we have to account for that. We have to take into account this specific situation. So you got an example there. We will see today several examples. We will see in the exercise how attacks do propagate. And we will see that, for instance, if we do have, say, a cyber domain server, for instance, a video server, if somebody attacks, if a threat materializes in a cyber domain server for video, for instance, that can have an impact in the physical part in terms of now, if we don't have video streaming images, then we cannot protect a perimeter, so somebody physically can access that specific perimeter, okay? So the main goal, and this is one of the contributions of the project, is provide what is shown in the slide, these accurate estimations on potential cyber and physical consequences of a given attack, and how do them propagate from one domain to the other, okay? So useful cascading effects will be provided to the user with a level, a degree of likeliness, and to do so, the system is composed of several elements. First of all, a generic digital twin, which models all the relations, all the elements inside our critical infrastructures. On the other hand, we do have a threat propagation engine that will calculate all this information and what is the most likely evolution of events during a given attack that is going on. On the other hand, we do have PSA and CSA interfaces. Very importantly, we will collect all the relevant data coming from the physical domain, the PSA tool, and from the cyber domain, from the CSA tool. And we will then do our calculations. And this hybrid situational awareness tool, HMIs. Importantly also, there is a connector to propagate the consequences calculated to the decision support system. Now I give floor to my colleague Sandra.
So this is an example that we brought, a recent one from earlier this year, to illustrate this cascading effect between cyber and physical. So it started with water leakage, it caused a fire, and in the end, which is clearly cyber, was affected. And this is now explaining how we did combine these two domains. So we have in blue the cyber assets, information from the cyber part, and in green information from the physical world. And so far, this information has not always been combined kind of well enough to detect these cyber physical attacks. So we need to understand that they are connected. And this is what we do on the top level. So that's the yellow part, it's a hybrid part. We do integrate whatever is relevant for these two worlds. So some components go is the higher level, some are not important. And then also we have connections between cyber and physical. So inside a building, if there's a fire in the building and there is a server inside, well, it has a connection between physical and cyber. And we model this through a graph where the nodes are either entire infrastructures or relevant parts of it, depending on how deep you want to go with your analysis. And then we have directed edges, and they are directed in the sense of how does the problem propagate. So if one node is not working or one component is not working, it has a problem. This might affect the other one. If it doesn't have an effect, we don't care, we don't need to know, but we need to understand what's the impact. And of course, these dependencies are important to know, but in the end, we also need to know how strong is the effect, how bad is it. That's why we use these colors, as you have seen previously in the PSA. Green, it's normal, it's good, and then it's getting closer and closer to red, the more severe the problem is. So we use these color codes. And then the key idea, it's so we call them states. That's just saying how healthy you are, how good is it going. And this changes if there is an incoming event. If you are alerted about a fire or about a drone, then you might change your state, so you become orange or red. And then, most importantly, this is one, it's good for you to know how bad is it for you, but you also need to understand how does it impact the others. You're not just caring about yourself, but you notify those that depend on you, those who need to know. And that's the key idea of the cascading effect simulation. So first we understand locally how bad it is, and then we inform the others. They might react, they inform the others, and there you have your indirect cascading effects. So this is basically what the threat propagation engine, the TPE, is doing. It's mimicking how it spreads through the network. And we do this for the information we get from the cyber world, from the physical. If they give us alert, we estimate the consequences. And that's done. We compute the best case. We also provide information on the worst case and also statistics on one specific node. If you're interested in how is the hospital doing, we estimate that. And this is now the model that we use for Valencia. It's a high-level model about the port, the hospital, and the airport, how they were connected. And this is a screenshot of the threat propagation engine. You will not see it in action today in the afternoon because we have more developed tools to show you. But this is just the idea. It's showing step by step how it propagates over time. And also there is a visualization on the map. So if something goes on in the port, which is here, of course, in gray, it might impact the airport, or at least we notify them. And this now goes back to Israel.
Thank you, Sandra. So, as we were commenting, the system is composed of several elements. The main capability that the system provides is this cascading effects calculation in order to provide these potential effects that can happen to a given critical infrastructure. So, to do so, the threat propagation engine, which is shown now in the slide, does provide this potential impact to the CIs, and also the estimation of the assets affected by these events and the consequences to them. And to provide to the user, to the operator, relevant information, there is an HMI you will see in the demonstration. Now we'll see some few slides with the main relevant elements, which provides things like a web application, obviously, 3D graph-based visualizations, color codes, and color sizes in order to provide this relevant information, sort of this analytical mind to, at a glimpse, obtain the relevant information, geo capabilities, also this historical consequence analysis data analysis, timelines, TPE configuration, because we need to configure things in the backend, things in the simulation, and also configuration for other relevant elements like network connection to the IOP. Very importantly, and you'll see now and also in the demonstration, the synoptic diagram, because the main view of the HMI in the HSA, it's a GIS-based one, but also we do have a synoptic diagram which provides abstract information in terms of what will happen, but not geo-reference, okay? And showing all possible affected assets, showing their interdependencies, showing the new assets state, how things are going to evolve, and also the consequences on the assets. The advantages for this provide an enhanced overall view to the operator to enhance their situational awareness, which is at the end the objective, and obviously to change their state of mind in order to help them in making decisions, the proper ones. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the visualization. So you can configure things in terms of the HMI. You can configure things in terms of simulations. You can configure in terms of the maps, and also the communications with the IOP can be configured as well. Here we have a snapshot of a cascading effect. So we see the representation we see on the map, on the right-hand side, this cascading effect. How is it affecting the port authority? And if the user clicks on the specific element, we can see the evolution of this threat materialization in this specific asset in a given moment, and the degree of effectiveness, and how these things are propagating, how these threats are propagating to the rest of the involved systems. Here we see also the access to the historical simulation results, so we can select different cascading effects and obtain on the map that a given attack may be materialized on the Valencian airport, is propagating to the Hospital La Fe, is propagating to the Port Authority, and it's having a sequence of effects and a sequence of degradations of the involved assets in all the critical infrastructures. And here we have, as I was commenting, very relevant on the leftmost view, this diagnostic diagram that will provide the same information, the same calculations from the cascading effects, but in an abstract view, okay? Seeing the relation of the elements, but not geolocated. And we see also several features of the system in terms of definitions of areas of interest, as shown on left bottom, and also things like distance calculation or GIS-related elements such as location search and map providing settings. And with this, and I think that it's more relevant to see in the demonstration, we finish this presentation. So we are open to any kind of questions that you might have. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We continue with the coordinated response.
Hello, I'm Lazaros Papadopoulos from ICCS, and I will give a short presentation about the coordinated response. So, as you can see in this figure, the coordinated response receives input from all the other Praetorian components that we presented earlier, the physical, the cyber, and the hybrid situation awareness. And it integrates a number of tools. The first tool, and probably the most important one, is the decision support system. And the role of the decision support system is to manage alerts coming from the physical and the cyber domain, to generate incidents based on these alerts, and to provide mitigation actions to the operators. So the critical concept of the decision support system is the rules, and the rules are created offline. An example of a rule can be that when a drone is detected, then trigger the drone neutralization component integrated with Praetorian. Or if the sound sensor detects an explosion, then generate an explosion incident. So in real time, when alerts are coming from the physical or the cyber domain and combined with the rules, then the decision support system generates incidents. An example of an incident can be that a drone has been detected or an explosion has been detected, etc. So when an incident is generated in real time, the decision support system can be configured to send notifications to the operators. And the decision support system provides several ways, several means to send notifications through SMS or through email or through a chat application. The incidents can be viewed, of course, on a map. This red dot indicates an incident. And of course, the decision support system provides a list of recommended mitigation actions to the operator for the particular type of incident. So the second tool integrated in the coordinated response is the emergency population warning system that can be used to provide EU alerts in the area of incidents. This is a user-friendly tool in the sense that the operator can select an area of the map. It is the area highlighted with a red color to send, it's an area around the incident, to send the EU alert. An interesting and useful feature of this tool is that it can provide feedback about the number of mobile devices in the area of the incident, provided that there is support from a mobile operator. So as you can see in the heat map below, the number of mobile devices in the area of the incident can be used as an estimation of the number of people in the area. And this can be useful information, especially for the first responders that are expected to operate in the area of the incident. Another tool is the information sharing with first responders, which can be used to establish effective communication between the operators and the first responders. So this tool provides this interface, and it's used to provide not only basic information about an ongoing incident to the first responders, for example, the location of the incident or the type of the incident, but also it is linked with other tools of the Praetorian to provide more advanced information. For example, weather forecasting at the area of the incident, estimation of number of people in the area of the incident as provided by the emergency population warning system, but also it is linked to the hybrid situation awareness to give information to the first responders about the cascading effects, how an incident evolves, and information such as which authorities are expected to be involved in a particular incident, or which other critical infrastructure are affected, in order to enable more effective, let's say, decision-making for the first responders. And as a communication channel, it uses, as you can see, chat sessions. And this provides two advantages. The first one is that enables bidirectional communication between the operator and the first responders. And second, that it enables the sharing of not only text, but also images, videos, etc. The coordinated response system also integrates tools about social media, and in particular, tools that can identify threats reported in social media, and also tools for facilitating the posting of messages on social media during ongoing incidents. I will start with the latter. So the Praetorian platform provides different ways to share information with the public. You have seen before the emergency population warning system. Another way is another mean of communication, of sharing information with the public, is the social media. So this tool can be used to recommend to the security officer social media posts, particularly on Twitter, related to ongoing incidents. And its use is straightforward. The operator can select the particular ongoing incident, and a template message appears. The user can edit the message, and by pressing the button, it can be posted on the Twitter. Another tool related to social media is the social media security threat detection. And this tool monitors the Twitter in real time to detect posts related to data leaks, leaked accounts, and other cybersecurity threats. An interesting feature of this tool is that it can prioritize the tweets that are identified. So tweets, and this is done through a set of identifiers which are related to the particular critical infrastructure. So, for example, tweets that explicitly mention the particular critical infrastructure or the domain of the critical infrastructure or the particular location of the critical infrastructure or even interrelated critical infrastructure can be categorized as high priority. So the tweets, the posts that are categorized as high priority, they trigger the generation of the incident through the decision support system and possibly a notification to the operator. Of course, what is considered high priority or low priority, it is fully configurable through a set of identifiers. And the last tool integrated in the coordinated response is the drone neutralization. The purpose of this tool is obviously to address threats coming from hostile drones. So the idea is that when the drone detection system integrated in the Praetorian identifies a drone, then the decision support system triggers the drone neutralization component to mitigate this incident. So, but I will not say more about this because the next presentation in the agenda is particularly about drones. So, thank you very much. If there is any question.
Yes, one question. So the shared information between operators and thank you. So when operators and first responders share information, you have showed us that chat that they have that could apply the first responder to focus the attention on a screen. Is there any possibility to hold a voice conversation between the operator and the first responders?
Two comments about this. Thank you very much. So the first one is that through this chat application, it is possible also to call the first responders instead of writing. But also, this chat application is not used so much to notify the first responders, but to share additional information, to provide files or let's say create a group of first responders and broadcast information at the same time to multiple first responders. So the notification is done through the decision support system and through, for example, phone or through a way that the first responders can be notified immediately. But this tool is for additional information, so the chat seems a convenient way to.
And regarding that too, so this provides additional information, but it could go two ways. Is there any way that the first responders feed the system? For example, if they're wearing an action gun that is recording the response to the emergency, can they feed the decision support center through that system using this tool?
That's a very nice comment, and this is feasible through the chat as this provides this kind of bidirectional communication. So the first responders can also reply and provide images or text to allow the operators to understand that, okay, there are other things that need to be considered, and then this can be provided to the Praetorian system to provide even further or more refined mitigation actions.
Thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay, thank you very much.
And we have a final presentation that should be done remotely. So Garik, are you online? Yes.
Shall I share my presentation?
Yes, please.
Just 1 minute, please. Can you see it?
No estoy compartiendo.
Hello? Can you see it?
No, we cannot.
Not yet.
It shows what it's sharing. Strange. It's really strange. Eva, can I send you this presentation? Maybe you can share.
Okay. Al fresco or?
No, on the email. It will be easier.
It's in the chat. Put it in the chat. There's chat.
No, I don't know if it's possible to. Could you share in the chat?
Yeah, I'll try. Sorry about this.
I'm Angel, you can send it to me.
It is last minute visit effect. It shows what I'm sharing. Strange. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ. So I sent to this email what you mentioned. Really sorry about this. Did you receive the email?
Okay. Gary,
Yeah.
the presentation, Angel is saying that it's empty. I don't know if you can share it. Can you attach the PowerPoint into the chat? It's possible.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do this. I don't know what's happening. It shows what I sent you 2 emails with the attachment.
Vamos al coffee break y lo solucionamos después. Es que tendría que haber subido las presentaciones al fresco.
Okay. Did you receive now?
Okay, it's fine. Now. Ángel is okay. Hay que bajarlo del fresco. Fresco. Va a hacer, no sé si me correo aquí.
Maybe it's to start saying what we did until this can share, because it's a bit embarrassing. Sorry about this. Oh, thanks, God. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I mean, really sorry about this. It's one of these days. So again, apologies for all this embarrassing start. So I'm Gary, and from the company Renegard, and our role in the project was we were building the anti-drone systems. It's basically drone detection and so on. And I was apologies for not being able to be there, but it's a few things happening and the holidays and everything else. So hope you understand. So next slide, please.
Ángel.
So first of all, we start with the drone detection. It's a problem on its own. This is a new problem. It didn't exist 10 years ago. And the problem became quite serious, let's say, with the proliferation of drones. But also we can see what is happening in the Ukraine now, how the drones are changing completely the way a lot of things are done now, what used to be different. And of course, everyone knows about the examples when the drones were used against the attacks on the critical infrastructure, or simply by the silly or stupid people were playing with the drones and creating the security threats. So there is a problem of the drones, and the drones affecting the critical infrastructure. So how we can, what is the first thing, of course, in order to deal with the drone, we need to detect the drone. And the question is how you can detect the drone. They are a number of ways, but everything comes to 4 different scenarios. It's you use the radar, or you use the RF detection of the drone to do the RF signature. You use the optical, or you use acoustics. And like everything in this world, no single solution works really well, because each one has its own advantages and disadvantages. For example, radars are very good to detect the large drones flying on the long distance away, but they're not very good working with the small drones flying low in a short range and so on. Radio detection is good for detecting the pilots and the drones, but they're useless if the drone is a kamikaze drone and is flying with the autonomous mode, not transmitting any signals. And the optical has its own advantages because it provides the video evidence, but it depends on the weather and the day, night time, and so on. And acoustics work on the short range unless you want to put really very long infrastructure containing the microphones and the cables and everything, which could be good in one location but cannot be easily moved to another location. So could you please press the button? So yeah. So one thing is, okay, assuming we detected the drone, then the second problem is, what do you do with this? Do we know if this drone is ours or it is an enemy drone? And do you know if this drone is, let's say, serious threat to the critical infrastructure, or it is a paparazzi drone flying to get some signatures of the celebrities in the, let's say, some interesting scenarios and situations and so on. So once the drone is detected, we need to classify the drone. And what by classification, we need to say what, if it is a legitimate or illegitimate drone. And of course, it will be good to know what kind of drones, because if it is a small drone flying, let's say, with the 10-15 centimeter size, it probably just carries camera and nothing else. Or if it is a large drone, which could carry up to 3 kilos of payload, in this case, you have to treat it slightly a bit more differently. And so, assuming now we classify the drone, so that's it. It's not the end of the problem, because you detect and classify the drone, but you need to know where this drone is flying to. So you need to track the drone, and for tracking the drone, there is again quite a few techniques. It's a radar, it's other things, but that could be another problem here. And the problem could be as following. Let's say we have a few sensors, because we said what more than one sensor is required to do accurate detection. And then radar detects the drone, camera detects the drone, another camera will detect a drone. And if we don't do everything properly, then we may have an alarm what 3 different drones are flying together or are flying to this critical infrastructure. So to understand if it is 3 different drones or it is one drone which is detected by 3 different sensors, that's another problem. And this is where the tracking is coming to. So there is a need to do a correlation between the different sensors by using to a certain features of the detected drone. Then, of course, it will be good to detect the pilot. And if you want to stop, one of the neutralization technique is basically catch the pilot. And of course, it will be good to know what the drone is carrying. This is probably one of the most challenging things, because all what you can see in the best case scenario is the drone is carrying some sort of box attached to it. And what's inside the drone, it's inside this box, is probably impossible to say. But there are some techniques and technologies what we are doing using the AI, what I will explain later, at least to give some sort of estimation what's inside this box. So the next slide, please. Yeah, and of course, once we identify there is an issue of the countermeasures. Okay, what do you do with the drone once you know what is an enemy drone? Because it could be maybe by shooting it down, you create more damage than by just letting it to fly. A simple example, as I said, you have a big crowd of people, maybe let's say the open area concert, like a rock concert and so on, with a lot of youngsters. Some of them are very excited. And then you have a small drone flying with the camera trying to do recording. And if you shoot it down and if it falls, it may create more damage than just taking a few images and so on. And there are many other scenarios. So to here, on this slide, what we say, it's a clear definition, basically. What does it mean? Detection, classification, identification, tracking, and neutralization. And when we were working on this project and developing the system, we strictly followed these recommendations, because these are also coming from quite a few international standards, like a Eurokai standard, which developed anti-drone system for protection of the airport. So I'm pleased to say what the system, what we developed for Praetorian, is compliant with this Eurokai 118 standard for anti-drone system in the airport. The next slide, please. Okay. So these are, as I said, advantages and disadvantages of different systems. So on the left corner, you can see the RF detection. So advantages are what it can detect at the long range. It can detect multiple drones at the same time. But the clear disadvantage, if the drone is flying with the autonomous mode, then there is no RF signature, so it's impossible to detect this drone. There is another thing, but this requires a little bit more technical approach to what we call like a counter UAV systems. Let's say all the drones, if they're flying in an active mode, they transmit the information. They should have a transmitter and an antenna. And the existing RF detection system, they know the signal shape and the spectrum. They try to detect this threat. But we did a simple experiment. if I cut antenna, for example, in half, just reduce the size, the signal spectrum will change, and it has a two effect. First of all, the range of communication will be reduced because antenna is not as good. But on the other hand, the signal spectrum will change completely, and conventional RF detection systems are not able to detect such a system. So this also needs to be taken into advantage when developing RF systems, and also confirms the need to do more than one sensor. Acoustics, as I said, is a very reliable but requires a lot of microphones to detect. And then, like with every microphone system, you detect the voice, but if you want to know the direction, you have to put many microphones to triangulate and to locate this thing. And the optical also has its cons and pros. The major positive side of optical, it provides the evidence. Because in many events, what happened, including, let's say, for example, Gatwick Airport, which was closed for 3 days, it was basically said, people were saying, I see the drone, but no one actually could show the evidence what this drone was flying. So the optical system provides such evidence. But of course, if it is raining or the night, the performance of optical system will not be as good as always wanted. The next slide, please. So what we are proposing in the Praetorian, the way we're proposing is, we also look to another solution. In the project, we had a infrastructure, and we assume it's impossible to provide the same solution for all the systems, because the systems have they're different in size, in locations, in what's important, what's the security threats, and so on. As I said, if I want to protect, let's say, a celebrity yacht with a few celebrities on board, that's one type of system. And if I want to protect, let's say, a nuclear power station, that's another type of system what needs to be done. And rather than developing different systems for different scenarios, which is not very kind of efficient way to develop the system, we decided to do the approach. Maybe you can show the next slide, please. This one, which is let's say the generic approach. So what we say, we've developed a solution which has at the top of it, it says the C2 platform, which is a command control platform. And I'll come back how this is integrated with the Praetorian. So this is only for the anti-drone system. Then to this platform, we can connect a number of different sensors, basically as many as required. So this could be the radars, it could be radio detection, cameras, jammers, and so on and so forth. Or what we can see here could be, let's say, a counter UAV system. And then to make life a bit more easier for situation awareness of Praetorian, rather than connecting each of the sensors to our physical situation awareness system, we only C2 platform with the Praetorian platform. So in this case, the anti-drone system becomes like a sub-module in the Praetorian system. And then depending on the scenario, we can decide how many sensors and which sensors we want to use in each particular case. The next slide, please. For example, for Praetorian, a solution for Praetorian, we decided to do the following. So it's an optical system classification. It's an RF detection system, all linked to the C2 platform. And then the C2 platform also will decide which countermeasure to use. And in our case, we decided to do the jammers. The reason we did this, because of also we had to take into account the regulations and the legal requirements. Say, for example, we did a pilot in the airport, in the Zagreb airport, and it's categorically, basically impossible to do the jammers. Not impossible, it's actually illegal to use the jammers near airport, because the damage, what could be done, let's say we can jam one small drone, but if we can jam many large passenger airplanes, that probably will not be a very good idea. So in the Praetorian, we decided to take this approach. So we detect the drone, then we decide what kind of drone it is, what type of drone it is, and then we do the response. That's the approach in the Praetorian, and everything else through the integrated C2 platform is connected to the Praetorian situation awareness platform. The next slide, please. And next slide, please. Yeah. So what you see here is a system what we built. So it's a van, and inside the van there is a operator place which has a monitor and the chairs and all the basically things what are required for the operator. And from here the system is connected to through the data link to the Praetorian platform. And then what we also have, we have two sensors here. The sensors are on the left, you can see the camera, which is optical detection, and on the right, you can see the RF detection system. There was a long discussion if the sensor should be inside the van, integrated and integral part of the van, or they should be kind of removable. Eventually, after talking to many people who do protection of critical infrastructure, it was decided to keep it removable, portable, for one simple reason. People say, you may not be able to bring the van to exact location where I want to put, and if I want to put the sensor, for example, on the roof of the building, I cannot take the van to the roof of the building. So the idea is the van is standing somewhere nearby, the sensors could be deployed anywhere where it is required, and then through the data link, they are connected to the van, to the operator, because operator will be sitting in the van and coordinating with the Praetorian system. So that's the system which was built, developed, and it was used in a number of scenarios and the pilot what we did for Praetorian. And next slide, please. So how the system works. So as we said, it has, so please press one more time for the text. Yeah, and one more time. So we have two modules here. We have a detection module and we have a drone neutralization module. And this is according to the work plan what we had in Praetorian. So we had to develop a detection module, we had to develop a drone neutralization module, we had to put them together, to integrate them together, and then to integrate with the Praetorian platform. So what you can see here is the flow chart showing how the system operates. So on the top, of course, it's a detection. So the system operates autonomously. It doesn't really require the operator to basically monitor the camera with the joystick or something. It works autonomously and it searches for the area itself. There is no alarm, so operator can do something else. So technically, our system doesn't require a dedicated anti-drone operator. It could be part of the security solution, and it could be just a screen in the security monitoring room. If an alarm, if the drone is detected, and if the drone, again, if the drone is classified as a hostile drone, if it is a drone which is used, let's say, by critical infrastructure themselves, then it will be ignored. A typical example, for example, we work with the airport and they use the drones for observing and monitoring perimeter of the airport. So if such a drone is flying, then there is no alarm. But if another drone, which should not be there flying, then the alarm is raised, and this alarm is raised to the operator. This is where the operator is becoming engaged. And system also provide the classification saying what kind of drone it is. Giving the size, the photo, the image, and also if the drone is carrying anything or not. And then the operator can make a decision what countermeasure it should do. And again, this depends on the critical infrastructure, what is being protected. If it is an airport, operator needs to decide, do we stop the air traffic, or we divert the air traffic, or we just keep going because the drone is probably too small and it is flying far away, and so on. If it is a seaport, then maybe a different decision should be made. But all what our system is doing, we basically very reliably say this is a drone is illegitimate. It should not be here, and it is carrying, let's say, something. And this will become part of the Praetorian situation awareness, where all the coordinated response will be made. The next slide, please. Yeah, and the system also says how this drone could be eliminated. So if in this location, if it is possible to use the jammers, or maybe we need to use the snipers to bring it down, or maybe we need to use another drone to intercept this drone with the net and so on. So this is work out jointly with the security people who are responsible for the protection of this critical infrastructure. The next slide, please. So this is an example of how camera basically system will show. Igor will present you the system with more details, like you will see it the first hand. But as we said, we have quite an unusual system, which is patented. It has a patent. So it has two cameras rather than one. So the first camera is a detection camera. This is basically a camera which is looking to the sky, and it detects everything what is moving in the sky. And this everything is everything. It could be falling leaves, it could be clouds, it could be birds, it could be drones, and everything. But to ensure what we are not distracted by everything, so we have a special, our own proprietary algorithm, which is a base AI algorithm. It's a combination of vision and motion dynamics analytics. We analyze the dynamics of the movement of every object in this frame. And then everything what behaves like not a drone, for example, a falling leaves or the clouds, so on, it will be ignored. And then everything what behaves like a drone, it could be a bird or the airplane on the background and so on, it's highlighted. And then this highlight is given to another camera, which is a pan-tilt zoom camera. And this camera will zoom into this direction, because we also give very accurate directions, much more accurately than the radar or RF. It's like a 0.1 degree accuracy. So the camera will move into this, will zoom into this direction. Again, it will zoom automatically. It doesn't need the operator to do this, and take the image of the drone. And then let's put this image on the map, showing the location of the drone and the photograph of the drone. In this case, you can see it's a standard DJI drone. It's a small drone. It's very unlike, it has no payload, anything attached to it. So most likely it's just a drone with the camera. So this is one type of security alert. We also have a system what we are working at the moment, but this is like a part of the post-Praetorian project. So if we detect something attached to the drone, we start analyzing dynamics of movement of the drone. And this allows us to detect the weight of the payload which is attached to the drone. And then by knowing the weight, it's possible to say at least if it is explosives or something else. But this is still the work in progress, but we show what there are solutions to more or less any problem. And everything depends, again, how much you want to spend on your protection system. It depends how big is the asset value of what you are protecting. Yeah. The next slide, please. So, in summary, it's good to detect the systems. It's good to detect it very accurately, the drones, and to show the directions and so on. But what we also learned during the project is detection of the drones is not like the goal. The goal is to have a system which protects the critical infrastructure. And like everything else, when you build a solution, you also create a problem. So, for example, it was the earlier presentation about the cybersecurity. So what we found out, if we bring this anti-drone system to critical infrastructure, it works as a standalone, but as soon as it becomes connected to a critical infrastructure IT system, it becomes a security threat as well, the cybersecurity threat, because it potentially will be possible to hack not the airport system, but the anti-drone system, and then to start creating the false alarms and so on and so forth. So in addition to simply starting, which is let's detect the drone and see how we can neutralize, we now start looking also to the issues like how we make sure what the system is cyber secure, how we make sure what we are not bringing any issues to the cyber elements. And then, of course, there is issue about, okay, we now know what this drone is illegitimate. It should not be here. To whom we should inform? So if it is, let's say, the port of Valencia, Should we let to know the director of the port 2 o'clock in the morning what there is a drone flying, or it should be security people and the messages should be sent to security people around the area and so on and so forth. Again, this is not our decision. This is all part of the security process in the critical infrastructure. So one thing what we learn, in order to make system very efficient, we need to work with the end users. We need to work with the operators of the critical infrastructure, and the system should be part of the overall system. That's one big lesson what we are taking from this project. The next slide, please. So, in conclusion, so the system what we developed, again, depending on the weather conditions and so on, and the size of the drone, we can detect the drone up to 8 kilometers away from the target. And we can detect something flying up to 8 kilometers, but let's say from about 3-4 kilometers, we can definitely say what this is, let's say, a hostile drone, and we can start tracking of this drone, providing all the accurate information. The system is designed in such a way so it's adaptable to existing infrastructure and to existing regulations. Anti-drone systems are new systems, and there are no regulations yet, especially European-wide regulations. In some countries, for example, a drone is still considered to be as an aircraft legally. So to do anything with the drone is equivalent like to do anything with the flying aircraft. And if someone, let's say, shoots it down or the jamming, then it could be considered what you are tampering with the flying aircraft. Of course, the police and the militaries, they have their special permissions and so on, but this is based on a case-by-case basis rather than regulatory. So this is part of the problem today, and that's why we developed the system what could be adapted to any regulations in any location. Yeah. And one more thing, what we also said is the system what we designed is, as you can see, it's a mobile, so it could be transferred because based on the security threats. In some cases, let's say there are some temporary events like the visit of the head of states to a certain place or the open area concerts for 2-3 days and so on. And then there is no need to have a permanent system there. But of course, in some cases, like a big port in Valencia, it makes sense to have a proper system, and the system should be not just one camera, one radar sitting in one direction. It should be all distributing, covering all the major areas and so on. So there should be a bigger type of the system. So by doing this project, in conclusion, what I want to say is we developed the system. We provided these pilots, let's say, this is photos from the Zagreb airport. The next one, please. So this is in the port of Bordeaux. The next one, please. And this is also in the recent, like a hydropower plant in Croatia. You can see it's a different environments, different kind of surroundings of the area, the different potential threats and so on. But the system was coping, was easily adapted to this. But what we also learned is it's good to have a good system, but this system is only valuable if it is part of the bigger solution, like a PRAETORIAN. It's a part of the all integrated solution. And it's again, if this integrated solution is developed and constantly monitored with the people who operate this critical infrastructure, because after all, they are the end users and they know the best what to expect and what sort of security threats they are dealing with. And that completes my presentation. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Gary.
And sorry again for this start of this presentation.
Okay, so I think if there are no questions, we can close this session now. We have a coffee break, and then we will continue in around 15 minutes, starting with the scenario and with the live demonstration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy your